It's pretty clear by now that Apple is planning on bringing 5G to their iPhone 12 lineup, which they should reveal about 2 months from now, and some rumors are even pointing to Apple giving you the ability to choose between 4G and a more expensive 5G version of the two non-Pro iPhone 12 models. Now, no matter if you'll truly get the option or not, there's still this question that you need to answer for yourself. Do I really need 5G? So what I'm going to do in this video is discuss the real world benefits that I noticed using a 5G phone compared to my 4G iPhone, and I'm also going to talk about what other people think of 5G and ultimately how much it should affect your buying decision. First of all, you need to understand that not all 5G is the same. There's sub-6 5G and mmWave 5G. But before I discuss the differences, I want to talk about the success of two popular smartphone brands that have recently switched to 5G. Let's start with Samsung and the Galaxy S20 line. Ever since they launched the S20 lineup, it's been rumored that sales of Samsung's S20 phones were way down compared to last year's Galaxy S10, with shipments dropping by 32.6%. Now, of course, we should definitely blame some of that on the pandemic for the low sales, since the entire smartphone industry went down, but one thing is for certain, the addition of 5G made the S20 line very expensive at $1,000 for the entry-level model. So Android Authority ran a poll asking people why they didn't upgrade to the S20, and about 71% of the people said that it was just too expensive, and then the other 11% said that they don't need 5G. And that basically means that the addition of 5G just wasn't worth the extra price for all of those people. And to further prove the point, it's been rumored that Samsung is exercising caution on the Note 20 parts to try to keep the price down. There was even a mention that this was specifically for the Galaxy Note 20 5G model, since 5G makes it much more expensive. Now, the OnePlus 8 Pro had a ton of hype thanks to the exciting leaks and the success of the previous OnePlus 7 Pro, but there were a lot of people that were disappointed by the high price. About a week before launch, 9to5 Google made a poll asking users how much would they be willing to spend on the OnePlus 8 Pro, and almost half of them said $700. The price turned out to be from $900 to $1,000, which only about 10% said that they are willing to pay according to the poll. And of course, the high price was mostly attributed to the addition of 5G. So the point that I'm trying to make is that 5G is causing phones to get much more expensive than people expect, and there are now rumors pointing to the iPhone 12 being priced at least $50 more expensive than the iPhone 11 prices, despite not having earpods or a charger in the box. So now the question is, if Apple does give you the choice of getting a 5G model, should you pay the extra price? I've been using Apple's iPhone 11 Pro Max for almost a full year now, which obviously uses 4G, so I'm going to give you guys my experience of this iPhone compared to the Galaxy S20 Ultra, which is the most expensive mainstream 5G phone. I currently use T-Mobile here in Spokane, Washington, and 4G has mostly worked fine for me for everything from web browsing to using apps. I've really only noticed a couple of issues with connectivity. The main issue I've noticed so far is occasional hiccups when I'm trying to stream YouTube videos. There's also the fact that I start to lose service going further away from the city and sometimes in certain dead zones of the city. Other than that, the only other issue is that reception isn't that great when I'm inside of larger buildings like my church or Target, for example. Now let's talk about my experience with 5G. A couple months ago, I switched to the Galaxy S20 Ultra so that I could give it a proper review, and since I have T-Mobile, I don't have access to the ultra-fast mmWave 5G in my city, just the sub-6 5G. That's because right now, there are only a small amount of cities that actually have millimeter 5G towers, and to get the great speeds, you actually have to be very close to those towers. That's because it works using a very specific part of the radio frequency spectrum between 24 GHz and 100 GHz, which have a very short wavelength. This basically allows more bandwidth or data to be transferred, but the issue is that it doesn't travel very far and it doesn't penetrate walls well at all. And this is also a type of 5G which is the most controversial, with many people concerned about the health impacts of the shortwave radio frequency. Now, sub-6 5G on the other hand has a lot more in common with 4G than it does with mmWave 5G. For example, T-Mobile was able to upgrade their cell towers to sub-6 relatively quickly and easily all across the US since it uses a much longer wavelength. mmWave 5G requires a lot more work and a fiber optic internet connection, which is why it's taking so long to implement it. So even though the Galaxy S20 Ultra supports both sub-6 and mmWave, I only have access to T-Mobile's sub-6 here in Spokane, so here was my experience with it. It was fantastic. There were a few spots where I typically had just one bar and data was pretty much unusable, and in those cases, the S20 Ultra with sub-6 5G would give me 2 bars, at times maybe even 3, and it would work just fine. Browsing the web was super snappy and I could consistently play back YouTube videos at 1440p with no buffering or hiccups. Keep in mind my iPhone had issues at times even with 720p, and I rarely tried 1080. On top of that, in areas with a good signal, my data speeds were about double the speed, testing them at the same location at the same time, just pulling the SIM from one and putting it into the other, and during congestion up to 6 times faster, as you guys could see here. Let me just say, going back to my iPhone 4G was noticeable after the S20 Ultra. Most people probably won't get much use out of that mmWave 5G for at least a couple years, so if you're thinking about buying the Pro model iPhone 12 just for that reason, it probably doesn't make sense. Now, sub-6 5G is definitely worth it since it gives you better reception overall, faster speeds, and it allowed me to stream YouTube without a hiccup even at 1440p, which was awesome. Now, in my opinion, I still think Apple needs to add 5G to all of the phones this year. I don't think it makes sense to have multiple versions of the phones at different price points. Now, they could wait another year, but then they will be really a ways behind the competition. So as long as Apple can keep the price of their phones the same, they should just switch to 5G and be done with it. And luckily, most rumors are pointing to the price staying very close, and that's probably because Apple will likely no longer be shipping earpods and even a charger in the box, which in my opinion is a worthwhile trade-off. Realistically, even if we don't need 5G this year, most iPhone users keep their phones for 3 years or more now, so it would be really nice to have it be future-proof. If so, we could end up with another iPhone 6s situation where it is so good that it becomes the standard long-term for a lot of people. If this video is helpful, go ahead and tap that like button and click the circle above to subscribe. And also be sure to check out our iPhone 12 leaks and rumors video right over there. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.